Hey Copper Nerds, let's do a deep dive into the Sheldon 18s, both A and B. What's even the difference, right? Well, one's an R4, one's an R6. That's the biggest difference, but the actual difference, I'll just show you in this picture right here. So edge lettering, that is the difference. This is part of our deep dive series where we are going to be looking at the all of the features and diagnostics of the 1794 large cent series. This is the second one in the series, the Sheldon 18, which comes in 18b, which is a, scarce but still, easy enough to find R4, and then the difficult to get your hands on R6. This one has a great provenance associated with Chuck Heck and others. And as you saw in that picture, the edge lettering is the difference. And it's easy to say, oh, just the leaf points up versus down. But I tried to capture the best I could. The edge lettering itself is different, not just the leaf. The lettering punch is different. On the A variant, the edge of 93, you'll see that the shape of the letters is a little different and they're more spread out. And then on the B, they're a little larger, more bold letters that are arranged a little more tightly. So let's talk about the 18. It is an obverse that's shared with the Sheldon 19, so we'll start with that. We have a lower curl and head style that they say are the same as the 1793. I guess it does kind of have that hooked lower curl, doesn't it? But the hair details themselves in here are quite a bit different, I think. As far as the reverse goes, each letter of scent is lower at the base than the previous letter. Oh, it's got the same reverse as the 17 that we just looked at. So I will show you a quick close-up of that. Another diagnostic feature on the reverse that is shared between this 18 and the 17 is that the bow is detached from the knot. Those are some of our basic features. Let's move on to our next reference book. Let's this time go with Breen second. So Walter Breen's Encyclopedia of Large Cents, which was really edited and compiled by Mark Borkart, who is with Heritage Auctions, and he's a very active numismatist. You'll run across him no matter where you are in the coin world. Mark said he put, I think, just years and years into this book. I forget what he said, 6 years or something like that, a long time. All right, so we got Sheldon 18A and B. As we know, the only real difference is the edge device, which is not as simple as the leaf pointing up and down, although that's your tell, but you'll see that they are completely different edge lettering devices. Okay, what are they gonna tell us? Same device punch without the doubling. On the 17, they said that there was like a doubling around the loop at the base of the bust. If you look at my 17A video, I kind of show it, but I don't really see what they're talking about. It's not that big of a deal. Certainly nothing I would pick out as a diagnostic. Talks about the edge. There are some dye states. Oh, repolished to remove clash marks. A faint obverse crack develops between the dentals at about 745. Must be what I'm seeing kind of there. For states 3 through 5, C2B. Oh, okay. Probably because they kept striking them. Well, you know what? I don't know that that's true. That's something I should look into. I think that logically, they just had a box of planchets. Some had A and some had B lettering on them. So I'd imagine you have A and B varieties all throughout the series. Well, let's see what they say. Or maybe not, I don't know. Clashed and repolished, a bulge in dye state 4, more bulging in dye state 5. No like major dramatic cracks or anything really exciting. Earliest dye states include some of the finest survivors, yeah, and the B more common variety. Likely novelties saved by people who had not seen the 93 caps, which are all scarce. Really some proof-like survivors in high grades. Oh, new blanks. The 17A has really, really bad planchet quality. So the 18s, they got some new blanks from Taylor and Bailey. I was not aware of that. The Garrett coin has at least a couple of others been conjectured to be presentation strikings. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. So Breen's got, you know, a few list of condition censuses. There's an MS-61 EAC grade in the 18B. The 18A, its number 1 is a very fine 30. It's a tough one. Okay. I think next, let's look at Chuck Heck's die state book, noting that Chuck Heck used to own that coin. That is Chuck's 18A from his collection and his big sale. So, to the index, 18, page 31. 18. Okay. We got A and B. Die state 1, very short spur-like crack. Man, you'd have to have one on high grade to see that. Not gonna see that in my coins. Reverse talks about how it's been resurfaced. Discussed some clash marks, so we're getting into the real fine minutia on some of these die states for this one. Some varieties have really wild die states and some are just kind of like these. Die state 2 doesn't change on the obverse, the reverse, damage above the M. Let's see, clashes. Some hairline clashes, which you're really only going to see in high grade. There's a lot of discussion of the clash marks. Die state 3, little die wear. From polishing, the bottom of the cap starts to disappear. As they resurface and polish the dies to get rid of clashes, you're gonna lose the depth of your device engraving, so that's what's happening there. Well, that's kind of neat. The reverse die is having a sinking problem at the TED and United. That's neat, and it'll prematurely wear there, so you'll see kind of a flat spot where there's no details, even though the coin is in a higher grade than what it would appear to be because of that. A little more die sinking under the cap in die state 4. Further sinking on the reverse. Note from Chuck at the bottom. There are no rare die states of Sheldon 18. Okay, let's jump into noise. And let's start with 18B. 100 for $1. Leaf pointing up on the B. Pronounced double chin. Yeah, let's look at the double chin. This obverse shared on the 18 and 19 has quite the double chin. The end of the pole is struck up and is about its own width from the bust. The head is in rounded high relief. That's kind of true of all of the heads in 93. The 1 is recut on the left side, die scratch between the 2 denticles at K8. Let's see, they show only a couple of die states for the obverse, perfect in the bulging. And then on the reverse, there are 4 different die states. Take a look at some of those right here. And how's the condition census look? Oh, they're saying mint state 63. I think Noise said 61. I'm sorry, Breen said 61, Noise says 63. And we are in uncirculated for all the top 6. Lowest being an AU 55 net 50. And by the time we get to number 12, very fine 30. Okay, let's back up a couple pages to the 18A. It's going to have a lot of this same information. General descriptions. When we get into the condition census, our top pop is a very fine 30. So the bottom of the condition census for the 18B is the same grade as the top of the condition census for the rare 18A. So we're starting at a 30 and dropping down to a 12 in the top three, a 20 net 12. We get down into 4 through 6, 10s down to 6. Look at that, just right off the cliff. That's mine. We are into 6s and 5s. We're down to a 3 by the time we're at condition census 9. And it stays as a 3 all the way down through 12. And mine is a 2. So for 13 and 14, we are tied at a 2. Now I can tell you that there was one 18A that came out of the woodwork a handful of months ago that is up in the top 6. So really these are tied for 14 and 15, not 13 and 14. But I mean, look at that. That's a condition census 18A. It is a 1. By the time we get down to 16 through 18, we're looking at basal state 1s. So I'm really excited about this one. I think it's one of the more distinct 18As. You certainly know what it is. You can't miss it. It's easy to say, oh yeah, that's the Chuck Heck and me example. The Dan Talk Sense and Chuck Heck example. So that is the 18A. It's super rare. And then the 18B, which is a little more common. And you know, they're each their own variety. So if you're trying to complete all 58 varieties as I am, you have to have both. And I do have both. So far I've got that 17A, because the 17B is an NC. Then I've got the 18A and B, and we'll keep going from there. There's gonna be some gaps coming up, but so far I'm batting 1,000. Well, I appreciate you guys checking this one out. I look forward to talking to you down there in the comments, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.